Welcome back. Now, Super Rugby Round 13 saw the Brumbies win an arm wrestle against Sharks in atrocious conditions in Canberra. Elsewhere, Colin Slade put on a kicking masterclass as the Crusaders overwhelmed the Reds. Incredible matches they were. But do you see the Sharks bouncing back? They take on the Crusaders today.
I don't think so. The Crusaders are the form team, and in a rich vein of form, not just form team. I mean, they beat the Reds in Brisbane by a record score. The Sharks are not scoring that many points, and they're not looking that flash. So, in my mind, AMI Stadium, Crusaders, not happening.
And Slade's kicking in performance.
Yes, I think Slade again is also in a very good vein of form. I think going into the June tests, the New Zealand selectors will be licking their lips at the prospect of him being fit, looking much stronger, looking more adventurous, and again kicking flawlessly. So he's definitely a big influence on the way the Crusaders play, and I think he stayed injury free, which has been a big problem for the Flyhalves in Crusader land. So the Sharks will feel the brunt of his performance, I believe.
And Philip, the competition in the New Zealand conference, it's been such a superlative, hasn't it? You have four sides that have they've already wrecked 30 points in the excess of 30 points. It's looking like the New Zealand conference is a cut above the rest, isn't it?
Totally. I mean, when you look at the general table standings, I think Sharks looks lost at the top there from South Africa. Because after Sharks, the next thing is you have four teams all from New Zealand. And seeing as Sharks lost last weekend to one of them and is playing Crusaders next, and will probably lose to them the way things are going, it won't be shocking that the next thing we'll see is Sharks probably coming down and the script going according to the New Zealand teams.
What's happening with their sides, more especially the South African franchise sides? They haven't really showed up at them.
No, I think it's a case of the South African sides have had, I think, 3 good years, and it's a case of a dip. I think it's a natural cycle of things. So the Stormers lost a few key players, Habana, and then the coaching somehow they've gone off the boil a bit, and even if so, they do the same things they were doing, but their execution accuracy struggling. The Cheetahs again, 3 years of almost the most exciting rugby without winning. Last year they seemed that they'd finally cracked it, and this year they have gone down. The Bulls, of course, rebuilding. The Sharks, I think, are using more sheer will than anything else, because in terms of just the creativity and ability to win games, there's not much, but it's just desire and pure brand.
And that is Jake White. Win it, how you win it doesn't matter.
But the New Zealanders, they do play well at home. In terms of their away games, they've struggled, whether it's within New Zealand or outside New Zealand. But when they've had the opportunities, they've taken them. And they've brought in quite a number of young guys who are leading the teams. So if you look at the Blues, if you look at the Hurricanes, if you look at the Chiefs, even without Aaron Cruden, are now winning and winning tremendously. But what surprises me is that when you've written off the Lions, they nearly killed the Highlanders in the last minute, coming from 23-0 down, and we're losing 23-22. So I think the South African sides are just off the boil generally. I think it's a phase thing, because I can't explain it.
Interesting that, and it looked like it was going to be Australia's year this time round. The Waratahs came out of the blocks, but they've gone off the boil, haven't they?
Yeah, the Waratahs. I don't know. I think that loss to the Western Force and sort of took them off, and I don't think they'd quite gotten the rhythm. And you need to win about 5 games in a row to get that flow going. And so the confidence as a side is not yet there. So they do have some really good games, like the one against the Hurricanes. Then the next game is you're wondering where they went to.
Okay, interesting that. Very briefly, guys, the Rugby Cranes play their second trial match in as many weekends today. What are you both looking forward to? Can we start with you, David?
Last week I was impressed with Aredo. I think he takes on the line. So he was running straight.
So you prefer him to play 10, not 15?
At 10, I think he distinguished himself quite well. For a guy his size, is quite brave.
Was kicking a little too much, wasn't it?
I think it was out of hand. Yeah. At some point, he got carried away. But his first few touches, he took on his number 10. And that keeps the defenders guessing. So, in varying his game with the kicks, I think I'd like to see what he does again this time. I'd like to see a few more combination plays. I thought the good thing that I saw from the game of the weekend was they were dominant in the tackle. Every time they tackled the Victoria player, the ball was lost. Yeah. As to whether it was a competition
hits from Brian Asaba.
Yeah, so it's to say if that's the dominance that they're taking into the car one, then we can win from there because you're always moving forward. The set pieces, again, they won all their set pieces, but again, the competition. So it's to say the combinations and then the settling, because at some point they got carried away and the game lost structure. But it's to say, how do we keep the discipline? And if we need to beat the team 100 points, we do that. And I think that consistency of execution is what Magona will be looking for.
Okay. And Philip, Matthias Socho, do you want to put something in? He's been out for a year and he played
It was great to see Captain Courageous back. I mean, in the line out, every time you have a line out and Matthias Socho is in that line out, you want to sit back comfortably and wait for what happens next.
You can bet your house.
You can bet your house and family that he will get it.
Yeah.
And really it was interesting. Of course, it's just that we're used to the combination, I think, of Alex Mobiru, the hooker, and Matayo, but it seemed still to work now without Mobiru, which was good. I'm not saying we don't need him. Yes, we do. And quick recovery to him. But also, the key thing I saw, David, was the running game. I don't want to say this in a bad way, and with all due respect to national team players, it's long before we had seen over 4 passes on the run of play, and you've not lost the ball or knocked on or dropped him. The last tries we had were off mauls and pushing over the line. Exactly. This time we had proper breaks and a running game, and it was beautiful to watch. And I think where the problem came in is they got carried away at about the 40-something score point. Yeah. And you felt like they are not trying that hard and they felt like we are there. And which is the concern I think probably the coach will have to look at. And maybe off that, the one issue is some of the rules. Sorry to mention the incident. Marvin Odong was given a yellow card. Yeah. And when he got to the line, he decides to hold a discussion with the coaches. And Magona asked him to sit down. Now, probably what Marvin didn't know is until you sit in that chair, that clock does not start counting of the 10 minutes. So it's some of those little rules that they also will need to mold into there.
Yeah. And we have to leave it at that. As always, you can keep in touch with us using the Rock and Roll hashtag on Twitter. Thank you for watching. From the 3 of us, it's good day and goodbye.